All right, now we're going to move on to the same type of problem, but with completing the square still, but now there's going to be a number in front, so there's just one extra step. So the steps looks pretty similar. Write without y and move it over to the other side. Okay, so we're going to write 3x squared plus 30x equals positive 6, because I moved that 6 over to the other side. Then the next step that's different from last one is we need to factor out a 3, because we don't want to complete, we can't complete the square without just having a single x squared. So we're going to factor out a 3. So 3x squared, take away 3 just leaves me with the x squared, which is what I want. 30 divide 3 is 10x. And then I put plus blank, because now I can complete the square because I have just an x squared. And the 6 is still on the other side. We did not take anything out of it, but I needed to write plus blank. Okay? All right, now I can take the same thing and I can write it as a perfect square. I can start the process of completing the square. So what we're going to do is we know we want to write it like this. We still have to keep that 3 out front. It's just going to stay out there. We're not going to do anything with it because now I have an x squared. So I know that it's going to be x plus half of 10 is 5. 5 squared is 25. Now you have to listen on this. Half of 10 is 5. 5 squared is 25. It's the same process we did before, but here's the trick. We didn't just add 25 to this side anymore. We added 3 times 25, because if I were to distribute that, I would have to get 75. So I need to add 3 times 25 to this side, or in other words, I need to add 75 to that side. So I keep the 3 outside, I complete my square and get x plus 5 squared, and instead of just adding 25 to this side, I add 3 times 25. All right, so now we just need to do 6 plus 75, which is 81. Ooh, these are some big numbers, but that's all right. So our final answer is y equals 3 parenthesis x plus 5 squared minus 81, because I want to move that 81 back over. So this would be my final vertex form, which is my ultimate goal. And the reason I want that is because my vertex is now at -5, opposite inside, -81. And I'm not going to make a sketch of that one because that's a big one. If we look back to our beginning, our y-intercept was at -6, and that's just review from last unit. Our main focus today is to get down to this form right here, okay? All right, I'm going to do one more together with you, and then I want you to try one on your own. All right, so this is the first one you've seen with a negative in front, but we're going to get rid of it anyway because our main goal is to get down to an x squared before we complete the square. So, step 1, rewrite it and move without the y, and then move the 1 over, so it's now becoming a -1. Okay? Step 2. So this is step 1. Step 2, factor out the -2 because I want to get down to just an x squared. So -2 divide -2 leaves me with just an x squared. 12 divide -2 leaves me with, I can't read that. 12 divide -2 is a -6x. Now that I have just the x squared, I can write plus blank. Okay? And then on this side, I don't need to do anything except write plus blank. Okay? All right, now I can start the process. I keep the -2 outside. It's just going to stay there. And I want to get down to something that is a perfect square. Okay? We know it's going to be negative because that sign's negative. Half of -6 is -3. -3 squared is +9. Remember that last term is always positive. But don't forget, I didn't really just add 9 to that side. I added -2 times 9, which really is -18. Okay, so I get -1 plus -18, which is -19. And now I'm pretty much done. This is the form you want to get down to. So I'm left with y equals -2 x minus 3 squared, and I'm going to add that 19 back over. So I'm left with plus 19. This is the form that your goal is. And now the reason you want it in that form is because now you know the vertex is at 3, 19. All right, and if you wanted to make a sketch, feel free to, but it's hard for me to reach because I'm constricted by this headphone cord. but let's see, 319, let's pretend it's there. And then we know that the y-intercept is at 1, so that would be about here. And then you just make a nice, uh-oh, I went to negative instead of positive, ignore that. Do you know how I could tell it was bad? Because I know it's supposed to be opening down because of the negative 2. The y-intercept's here, but 319 is up there. And I know that it's supposed to be opening down because of the negative in front. Oops. Oh well. That's not the important piece. The important piece is that we got down to this equation because we want to know the vertex, okay? So pause the video and why don't you try this one on your own. Remember to factor out the 5 before you complete the square. All right, step 1. Oops, and it should have said y equals, my bad. Good thing they already did a step for us. So 5x squared minus 10x equals positive 15 because I'd moved the 15 over. Oh, excuse me. All right, so that's step 1. Step 2, factor out the 5 just from this side. So I get x squared minus 2x. And now that I have the x squared, I can start the process of plus blank, plus blank. Remember, it has to be on both sides, okay? All right, so that 5 stays out front. We take half of 2, which is negative 1. 1 squared is 1. Now remember, I didn't just add 1 over here. I added 5 times 1, which is really 5. Okay, so 15 plus 5 is 20. And now I'm almost there. My final answer is going to be, I'm going to minus the 20 back over. And I need y equals, because now I have it in vertex form. My vertex is at positive 1, because it's the opposite inside, negative 20. So if you got down to that, great. If you didn't, give a couple more a try. Follow the same steps. Write the number on the other side. Factor out the 5. Complete the square by taking half of your middle term and squaring it. And then don't forget on this side you have to add the number you added plus what you have to multiply by the 5. Okay? All right, good luck at your worksheet. Please get started. Have a wonderful day.